Okay, let's dive into this. The Harmony Playbook, balancing style and unity. I want you to take a second and just imagine a highly successful sports team. Picture the players out there on the field, or the court, wherever. You got individuals with completely different physical attributes, right? Vastly different skill sets, and fundamentally different ways of reading the game. The point guard sees the floor totally differently than the center. A striker has a completely different instinct than a goalkeeper. They each have a distinctly different style of play. But what happens when the whistle blows? Well, they're all wearing the exact same jersey, and they're all moving toward the exact same goal. And honestly, this dynamic is the absolute perfect metaphor for today's explainer. We're going to unpack a really fascinating framework that looks at human relationships, community dynamics, and group harmony. We're going to explore how individuals can possess deeply different approaches, different philosophies, or different styles in life, and yet somehow coexist perfectly without fracturing their unity. It's really all about finding that delicate, beautiful balance between individual style and collective harmony.
Nobody says, my playing style is the only right one, yet everyone confidently defends their own style. There's a really profound core tension in the human experience right here. Let's go back to that sports team for a second. The fast, agile winger, they don't march up to the heavily armored defensive back and say, you know, you're playing the game completely wrong. Obviously not. They understand that different roles require different methods. Nobody says, my playing style is the only right one. But, and this is the vital part here, at the very same time, that winger will confidently, proudly, and fiercely defend their own speed and agility as absolutely essential to the team's victory. They celebrate their unique approach. Now, in our real, everyday lives outside of sports, we often struggle terribly with this concept. We fall into this trap where we tend to think that if we passionately defend our own way of doing things, our own style, well then we somehow have to demand total uniformity from everyone around us just to validate our choice. We mistakenly believe that true unity requires everyone to act, think, and operate exactly the same way. But you know, true harmony doesn't require erasing your individuality at all. It requires figuring out how to be passionately yourself while realizing you're just one part of a much larger, incredibly diverse team.
So that leads us to the crucial question. How is this balance actually achieved? It's incredibly easy to sit back and say, hey, let's all just get along despite our differences, right? We hear that all the time. But executing that in practice, especially when people have deeply held convictions and vastly varying methods, that's tough. That requires way more than just good intentions. It requires a strategy, a specific mindset, a real playbook. The philosophy we're exploring today doesn't just leave us with a vague, feel-good wish for peace. It actually offers a highly concrete, structured methodology to navigate this exact tension.
Let's look at Bediüzzaman's four-step prescription. We're examining a fascinating 9-point framework by the Islamic scholar Bediüzzaman, but today we're really zoning in on the first 4 steps. And I want you to view these not as some dry historical checklist, but as 4 highly tactical psychological moves for achieving lasting group harmony. Move number 1, love your own path. This is brilliant because it starts with self-respect. You are completely allowed, encouraged even, to be passionately connected to your own style or method. Move number 2, ally within the shared circle. This means recognizing that you share a much broader foundation with others in your community, even if their specific daily methods differ from yours. You just focus on the overarching shared identity. Move number 3, adopt the rule of fairness. We're going to dedicate the next part of our explainer to diving much deeper into this one, but essentially, it dictates exactly how you advocate for your path. And finally, move number 4, remember that alliance brings divine help. From this perspective, unity isn't just some nice social benefit. It's a mechanism that actively attracts a higher level of success and support. When people align their varying styles toward a shared truth, they literally unlock a collective strength that is exponentially greater than the sum of its individual parts.
Sticking to your own choice versus disparaging another's choice. This brings us right back to that third tactical move we just touched upon, the rule of fairness, or as it's called in the original text, insaf. There is a massive, massive difference between sticking to your own choice and disparaging another's choice. They're two completely distinct actions, yet human nature often just blurs them together. The rule of fairness clearly dictates you have every right to stand up and say, my path is beautiful, or my method is right for me. That's simply sticking to your choice, which perfectly lines up with rule number 1, right? But, and this is the absolute turning point of the whole philosophy here, saying your path is beautiful never ever requires you to say, therefore your path is ugly. You do not need to tear down someone else's choice in order to validate your own. This is such a profound shift in how we communicate. When we disparage another's choice, we aren't actually strengthening our own position. We're literally just creating unnecessary friction and fracturing the team. Real fairness means having the inner confidence to let your own style shine brightly without feeling fundamentally threatened by the light of someone else's style.
So when we take a step back and synthesize these rules, we get this modern translation.
Confident but not closed. It maps incredibly well onto modern psychology and sociology. This older wisdom translates seamlessly into today's concepts of emotional intelligence and healthy boundary setting. Think about what it really means to be confident in this context. It means knowing your worth, understanding the absolute value of your chosen path, and having strong personal boundaries. You aren't easily swayed by every passing trend. But being not closed means you don't build an impenetrable fortress out of those boundaries, You don't breed hostility toward the outside world. You can be entirely steadfast in your personal convictions without viewing different methods as inherent threats. You can remain totally open to cooperating with and learning from people who hold entirely different convictions. It's a posture of true strength that simply doesn't require defensiveness. It basically means you are secure enough in your own jersey that you can readily high-five a teammate who plays a completely different position on the field.
The believers are but brothers. To really understand the absolute bedrock of this entire philosophy, we look to this foundational scriptural reference from the Quran, specifically Surah Al-Hujurat, verse 10. And it establishes the ultimate undeniable baseline for unity. Before any debates about different styles, before any discussions about different paths or varying methods of application, there is this permanent, shared bond of brotherhood and sisterhood. It's the ultimate shared circle that we mentioned back in rule number 2. And this profound principle, it serves as a permanent reality check, reminding us that differences in style and method are really just temporary variations in how that connection is expressed on the ground. When a group truly internalizes this bedrock principle, those petty, everyday squabbles over whose specific method is slightly superior, they just begin to fade away. The shared core identity becomes significantly louder and way more important than the individual differences in style.
So we have covered some truly fascinating ground in this explainer today, analyzing how beautifully different styles can weave together into a unified, powerful whole. We've unpacked a really highly tactical playbook for maintaining your unique identity while simultaneously supporting the broader team. So as we wrap up this analysis, I want to leave you with a final provocative question, something to take directly into your own life. As you go about your day tomorrow, whether you're at your workplace, volunteering in your community, or simply just hanging out with your family, can you proudly champion your unique way of doing things without needing someone else's way to be wrong? While sticking to your own style, can you do so without disparaging another's?